You know, it's a movie.
Right.
It's entertainment.
Okay, we got
Purposes.
10 seconds. I'm going to do the intro.
All right.
You're listening to KGPC 96.9 FM Oakland and streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. This is the Anything Can Happen show with Kenya Asa, Cat Fitness, and our guest host today. We got Brother Darren from Financial State of Minds. Oh man, this episode we about to get into the present moment with y'all.
I'm
right?
excited for this.
You excited, Brother Darren?
I'm excited. I'm so
Do you live
excited.
in the present moment?
Oh, trust me, I do.
You do?
I do.
Yeah. A lot of people don't, though, for whatever particular reason.
I ain't think why.
Why?
It's too difficult
Too difficult?
Yeah.
To face reality?
for a lot of people,
Mm.
and reality's never easy. Usually ain't easy.
That's deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like. I don't like the present actually.
You don't like the present?
No.
But that's all that exists is the present.
Nah, the past and the future.
The past and the future
Yes.
exist
They do.
in a different realm.
Yes, that I agree. I do agree. They are
In the
different realms.
multiverse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we have a master in the building of being in the present moment right now. We have Kyosa. How you doing today, Kyosa?
Oh, I am superb.
You superb?
Yes.
Your energy is amazing, by the way. I love that every time since I've met you at our, by the way, y'all. So Kyosa was one of our guest speakers at our Heal the Hood event that we did last month with First Friday's collaboration. And it was so much great information that Kyosa provided to the community. And I had to get her on the show, right? So we're here today in the present moment. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about who Kyosa is?
Kyosa is the daughter of Gloria Jean Miller, the granddaughter of Hattie Bell Washington, great granddaughter of Hattie. And there are many names that I don't know, yet I feel, because I am the power, the presence, and the prayer of all my people, and I live as me, as Kyosa, because of them, because of the messages that came through them before I was even thought of.
Mm.
So,
Because you were thought of at the beginning of time.
yeah, before
We all
we
were.
could actually conceive the thought, and activate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I was but a star, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looking for a family, and I found a beautiful one that always reminds me to be home everywhere I am.
Mm.
Yes.
So I know by trade that you work in the martial arts.
Yes.
How did that all take place? Because growing up, at least just like we were talking off the air, Brother Darren, it's like you see martial arts via TV or movies and stuff like that, and you don't see us represented too often.
At all.
Yeah, in the martial arts. So what led you on that journey to the arts?
Well, I've spent great amounts of time with myself. I had an awakening at age 9.
At age 9?
Age 9.
Wow. So what did that process look like when you were going through the awakening process at age 9?
I was sitting on my mother's couch at the house she currently resides in. And I watched my family. There were a number of us gathered. And I was watching the movements. And there was this aha, if you will, where I noticed everyone was from a different tribe. And I wondered.
So you're saying everybody in the room?
Everyone
in
the room in my family was from a different tribe.
Yeah.
And I was curious as to what brought us to this now moment together?
Yeah.
And I was curious about our movements. I'm like, we're moving past each other,
Mm.
but not with each other.
So it wasn't a flow.
It was its flow.
Mm.
However, we weren't interacting, engaging in a way that I do,
Mm.
which is very intimate, very deep, very personal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an absence of us. It was just that we knew what we knew,
Yeah.
right? And we were all housed in the same space. So we're moving about,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, you know? And I wondered, whoa, what are we actually saying without words
Mm-hmm.
to one another? How are we inspiring each other? And so,
I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's so interesting because words are so powerful.
mhm,
Oh yeah.
You know, they manifest the reality that we live in, and I think sometimes we take that for granted. The words that we speak over on our own life, even with the affirmations that we say sometimes that we don't even realize we're saying affirmations. Like when you're telling yourself you can't do something and something's very challenging, or the lack of what you have in your life, and then you keep on repeating these cycles that we continue to see. um it just amazes me because once I got to a point in my personal journey that I realized how I was manifesting my life and the power that I had over myself and the reality I was creating, I was more strategic on the things that I did and the things that I said, you know?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I found that. I found that in the silence.
Mm.
Mm.
I really did. And I am by nature quiet. Um, I do speak, I can speak,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and I tune in, you know, I spend great amount of time just being,
Mhm.
really listening to no thing.
Yeah.
Allowing life to show me, right? What am I hearing? How many different sounds am I hearing?
Mhm.
What are they communicating to me? Where am I being led?
Mhm.
Am I to just be here and be still and enjoy?
Yeah.
And I take that in all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. There is no hurry to get anywhere because all we have is right here, right where we are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like to ask a question. You said you're good with, or you like to be in silence, if I heard that
Yes.
correctly.
Yes.
Talk about that more, because including myself, I
Mhm.
think that's extremely difficult
Mm.
to be comfortable in
Mm.
silence. I mean, most meditations nowadays, they don't even let you be in silence no more. You have to be doing something.
Mm.
So, how did you get to a point where you're that level of comfortability?
Mm.
Because that is extremely unusual,
Mm.
and but it's positive. Like that's
Mm.
something I want to be, where I can just
Mm.
sit with myself in complete silence and not let my brain wander, not let myself get anxious and depressed. And how have you been able to do that?
Exhale. That's first.
Go ahead and exhale, brother.
Exhale. See, what was automatic was the inhale in order to exhale. We know how to inhale. Exhale. Let go first.
Mm.
That's where I began. Exhale. That's when I'm tender. That's when I'm vulnerable. That's when I'm soft. That's when I have no distractions. Nothing but myself to be with. So I let it. I let it. And then it comes and we are one. And I'm in my own experience.
See, we've been taught backwards, thinking about inhaling.
It's very rare where I don't even say nothing back.
Mm. Yeah.
That's my way of being a student. I listen.
Yes. And
There
then
you
you're
go.
feeling it. Yes. Just allow.
Yeah. So from that moment that you were you were 9 and you were in that room and you were looking at your family and seeing all these different tribes and seeing how you got into that present moment, um what did that lead you to, like through that process? What was that thought process like for that
It
9-year-old
was
self?
discovery.
Yeah.
I was curious how now can I get to know my family?
Mm.
What have they shown me? Where do I look?
Yeah.
And so everything that was matter, physical matter,
Mm-hmm.
it began to matter to
Mm.
me. It wasn't just a thing anymore. It was information. It was a resource.
Mm-hmm.
It was a book that was there. And what was the title? Why has that book been sitting there? That one particular book hasn't moved. Why is it that particular
Yeah.
book case?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it those books? Why is it that lamp over there?
Yeah.
Why is it that plastic on that couch?
I think that was so. That was a huge moment in my own self discovery. Was that what you're saying right now? Is why?
Uh,
Why am I here today? What is the conversation that I'm supposed to be having? Why are these people around me? Why do I do this? Why do I eat this way? Why do I start questioning all these things? And it gets you to the deeper rooted answer. You know what I'm saying? Not the band-aid on the broken leg, which the distraction of what people may call the matrix and different things like that allow you to live in, but actually getting to the root of what is my existence about, and then allowing that energy to flow to you, and just the curiosity of being a kid, getting back to that inner child and allowing you to allow that curiosity to open up a different realm, a different world to you, and see the world through a different light. Yeah.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Ooh.
Mm.
So, how did that all transition into the arts when you start doing martial arts and everything?
Well, dance has always been in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
I did not go that route. I felt deeply moved and empowered to go deeper in my practice, in my conscious practice of being aware that I was aware,
Yeah.
and my conscious practice of being in my body, in this particular body,
Mm-hmm.
without a name, without a community. Um,
Isn't that lonely sometimes though?
uh, of course, and what was real for me, and what is always real is that I'm alive,
Yeah.
right? And so I keep going, even if it doesn't seem like an inch is a centimeter, a millimeter. Right? I
Yeah.
was willing to be willing to be willing to be willing until I got ready to be ready to be ready.
Yeah.
Until I took action,
Mm-hmm.
and then I start creating.
Yeah.
Right? And so I create in every moment. I'm consciously creating,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I feel, right? I'm with energy.
Yeah.
Just energy. So what I am emoting is love,
Mm-hmm.
right?
The
And
highest
so
frequency.
yeah, so let it show me the way. Okay, you are. I can feel you moving this way, so I move with you because that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, then we're going back to what feels good.
Yeah.
That's co-creating,
Yeah.
right there in that instant.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's constant.
Yeah.
It's constant creation.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that state of constant creation, I know at one point, well, I can't say one point because it's been several times where I've gotten to new levels of consciousness within my own journey, going from a very young age and feeling like I always felt like I was a little bit older than my peers. Like as a kid, when I would play with kids and like certain conversations would come up, I would see it in a different light, but my peers wouldn't be able to see it in the exact same light. So it would, how would I say it? I would almost have to dim my light to be on the same frequency as them to be able to feel like I was enjoying that experience, to be relatable, right? And I even felt, even through one of my latest transformations, when things started to be presented to me and I'm seeing the world in this whole different spectrum, and I'm expecting people around me to see what I see and feel what I feel, and nobody, like, you almost looked at like, am I crazy? Am I going crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like that's why I said it felt like a lonely kind of space that I was in at one point, you know, and it was a journey of understanding how to be comfortable in that space of loneliness. You know what I'm saying? And allowing everybody to be who they truly are, and just allowing the process to be each and every day. How was that for you?
How was
The loneliness, the
so I didn't live in a state of loneliness.
mm,
Um, Conscious creating looked like for me um, listening,
mm,
listening to what I was listening to,
yeah,
and what am I listening to?
yeah,
Right? That's beyond my physical ears,
mm,
and the listening is a feeling.
mm,
Mhm. So I'm feeling what exists
yeah,
just as it is without giving it a name. Because soon as I give it a name,
mm,
it becomes that.
yeah,
Okay, oh, I heard that and it sounds like it is.
XYZ,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
So if I deem it to be something, oh my God, it sounded like it was scary, I am going to be scared.
mm-hmm,
I have affirmed that now I'm scared because that sound that I felt
mm-hmm,
was scary.
mm-hmm,
So I'm listening to myself listen to,
mm-hmm,
right? And I'm creating with who I am being. I am being present, right? The quiet and the listening
yeah,
are now communicating with each other. So I'm listening, okay, who am I becoming
mm-hmm,
right now as I feel this sound I'm listening to? Who am I becoming? Am I shrinking or am I ascending?
mm-hmm,
So I'm now making a conscious choice, right? I'm making a conscious choice to decide who I become because of the sound that I gave a name to, right? So then I become that. So I either, if I become empowered, even though someone else's interpretation of the sound could have been scary,
yeah,
now I'm empowered and they're scared. So now we actually have contrast, and we have two realities existing at the same time. And but I'm empowered because this is where I want to be because it feels good.
mm-hmm,
I've actually tested what it feels like to be scared, and I shrink,
mm-hmm,
or I don't give myself room to evolve or expand,
mm-hmm,
open up. So I like this over here, so I make that choice, and I decide I'm gonna go with what I like.
yeah. What feels good? What
Yeah.
feels empowering?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you have the conscious ability to make that choice though? Because for most people it's automatic. So if I'm just making up an example in my head. If I see somebody who I feel is threatening, I just automatically do it. Like, oh, this person looks threatening to me. So because of that, then the action happens after that.
but are you creating that reality, that person, by putting that energy into the world that person's threatening? Now it becomes a threat.
And that's what I agree. But I guess my question is, for most people, that's automatic. So I feel most people don't automatically, or they're not conscious enough to notice that they're doing that automatically. How do you get to a mindset level or a conscious level where that's not automatic? Because, and I'm using like a person, for example, but you just said a feeling. That's very difficult. I'm sure you can tell I'm a student of the mind. That's extremely difficult to be able to just not even identify a negative feeling and put a name on it. How are you able to do that?
We get back to the exit.
That's first, always. So we are here in this space. We are at a desk. We are sitting in a seat. There's a room here. There's another room out there. There's a hall out there. There's a door and a door and a door. And it keeps going, right? Gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, I can consciously choose in this moment to be out there. And I can say what I saw when I pulled up,
Mm-hmm.
what I felt, what I smelt, what I didn't want to see, you know, what I was expecting. I could have conjured all these things up, right? If I chose to allow that to be the reality. It exists. And so does this moment right here, right now, in this studio. And right here, right now. This is wonderful. This is beautiful. This is right. This feels good. So I made a conscious choice to actually say yes to the invitation because I felt it. And so now I'm having that experience of it feeling good. And it's practice.
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 Yeah, it's so interesting because um, through this journey, it's funny how that voice that we continue to talk about has opening up to that voice and being able to be guided through the journey to see exactly what I'm supposed to see when I'm supposed to see it. It's like I remember one day I was in the grocery or no, I put something out into the universe, right? I was looking for somebody. And one day I was at the house and something told me to get up and go to the store, right? The voice told me to get up and go to the store. And I'm like, did I forget something at the store? Is something, what's at the store? At that moment, I didn't know why I was supposed to be at the store, right? But I put something out into the universe I was looking for a certain person. And at that moment, I was like, whatever, I'm just going to be obedient to that voice. And I went to the store and I just asked myself, I'm like, okay, why am I here? This is all internal, right? I'm like, why am I here? What's here for me today? Did I forget something? What am I looking for? And the voice told me a number, right? So I was like, okay, is that an aisle? Like, what is that? So I'm wandering around the store, not trying to look like a weirdo, like just like, okay, what's going on? So I was like, okay, that's the number. Let me just walk down to the aisle that represents that number and see what's there, right? And it was so funny because it was one person standing in this aisle, right? I'm like, okay, who is this person? Like, how do I start a conversation? Like, what do I even say to this person that's just standing here in this aisle? And fear, a little bit of fear set in. I don't say fear, but uncertainty of what to say or what to do in that moment. So I was like, well, if I'm supposed to be talking to this person, if this person is a person that's supposed to be in my reality or in my journey right now, it'll naturally happen. I'm not going to force it to happen, right? So I continue to walk around the store for a little bit. And I'm like, okay, I find something that I was looking for, and I ended up going to the checkout aisle, right? And this person was standing right in front of me while we were checking out, and an organic conversation started to happen. And that conversation led up to be the person I was asking for in one of my prayers that I was looking for. And I was like, wow, if I never listened to myself in that present moment and I second guessed myself, I would never have been in that place at that time to be able to receive that blessing. Does that make sense, y'all?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
You're receptive.
And,
Yes.
and it once you see stuff like that happening, you're like, wow, that's powerful. It reminds you, why am I not always living in the present? Why am I not always being led by my energy? Just like Kyosa says, like it's certain things that speak to us, but sometimes we're in the parking lot, sometimes we're in the hallway still, sometimes we're still smelling that food from prior. That allows a certain level of distraction, so you're not guided to that next step in your particular journey. And not saying that it's easy, but checking in with yourself constantly throughout the day allows you to strengthen that muscle that allows you to be in that present moment, right? Instead of just like kind of just going through life in a robotic form, Just like la 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 la. I'm just going through the motions, not really being present with all the things. Like, why is that sitting there looking at us right now? Why is that? Why is that there? It could be anywhere. It could be on the shelf, but it's right there for a particular reason. Is it a song on there we're supposed to be listening to? You know, just asking those simple questions has allowed this journey to expand and open to new worlds and new realms that sometimes a lot of us have never experienced because we don't ask the why. Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing over there, buddy Dan?
I'm just, y'all don't know how much I need this.
Yeah.
Like,
speak on it. Come on, talk to us.
It's been a really rough, Jesus Christ, like almost 2 months. And it's like getting more and more intense. So it's very, I believe in divine timing.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still, because I'm young and this is newer to me, I haven't had as much experience. I always get kind of like, oh dang, like this is really happening. Oh dang, this is really happening. But for me, it's I'm unique. It's difficult for me to. You ask like, how come people can't stay in the present? I say because they're usually a fear.
Yeah.
There's something they want to avoid in their present. I can name 101 things, but the one thing that I always want to avoid, that I can never run away from, is my blindness. And that's one thing I tell people. Blindness, in my opinion, is more difficult mentally than physically, because there is no break. Even when I close my eyes right now, the blindness comes through. So, and obviously this is not something positive. Traditionally, I've learned to find the positives in it, but it's still a very scary thing to lose your vision. So that's just one of many reasons why I would not like to stay in the present. I can bounce around mentally to the past. I can bounce around mentally to the future. The past is certain. So there's less fear behind it because it's already happened, and the future is uncertain. So it's easier to hope. The present's the most difficult because you have to deal with it. And you have two choices. You can deal with the present, or you don't. I choose to deal with it, but that, like you said, it doesn't make it easy. The moment I sat down and you uttered one word, I sensed your energy, and I sense that you have this level of, I don't know if it's control or acceptance in yourself.
Both.
That's why. So I sense both. And I can sense how calm you are internally. It is so profound that it's completely like taken over this room.
Mm-hmm. It's just the peace within.
It's right. And that's something I have been desperately looking for since I've been an adult. I would actually go as far as say my entire life. That's part of the reason why I went into psychology, was to study the brain, because I wanted to understand. So, but I'm looking at you, and more importantly, I feel your presence. And there's not many people I've came across where I would say it feels like you've mastered it. I'm not saying you have, but it feels like that. So that's why and Kat can probably attest to this, I'm being very quiet, because I want to soak this all in, because this is unique for me, and this is an experience that, I'm really trying to be present in and just absorb.
Take that word try out of the vocabulary and just be it. And that's what I said earlier, is a lot of times we speak that reality of trying to do something. Don't try to do anything.
Right.
Don't try anymore. Just let it all go. Just let it be.
And that's why I'm asking the questions like, how do you notice the difference? Like it's awareness, I know the answer, but what steps did you take to get that level of awareness? I would say my awareness is pretty high considering my age, but when you said you can do that and I can feel it, I knew you weren't lying. I'm like, how? Like that is incredible. To have, and cat, not to say that you don't, but
like, what about me? My
like,
ego is hurt.
But just, I'm like, whoa, like, you know, I'm around people all the time, dozens of people every day, and I don't get that sense from anybody, nobody. Usually I'm the one who calms people down. I'm usually the one who stabilizes, but it's draining to always be stabilizing everybody. I don't do it just for, my work, which is being a financial business consultant. I mostly do it from a therapeutic standpoint for, stabilizing people, their mental and stuff like that. And it's very straining. Um, so to be in the presence of somebody who's just seemingly mastered it, I don't even want to talk, honestly. I just want to listen.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Allowing what is to just be. There's not a thing for me to do. It's already done. You say we don't have to become. We are becoming, but we are an answer prayer. We've been praying into fruition. So it's allowing. Just allow. There is no thing to be done. It's been done.
My last question.
We're going to get to that next question
when the break.
After the break, y'all, because, man, like I said, we can go on and on, but we're going to take a quick music break. You're listening to KGPC 96.9 FM Oakland and streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. This is the Anything Can Happen show, and we'll be right back here.
A dime shit. Yeah. Woo. It's me. Shout out to myself.
You already know. Yes. October 6th, they reached out to me last week. It was like, hey, we love it. That you brought with all the different organizations, all the speakers. We want to do it again on Thursday. So I was like, looking like this. Almost 30 seconds. All right, 20 seconds. You're listening to KGPC 96.9 FM Oakland and streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. This is the Anything Can Happen show with Kenya Asa, your man, Cat Fitness, and our guest host today, Brother Darren from Financial State of Minds. We've been having amazing conversation, y'all, with Kyosa. I would say she's a master at being herself, you know, being her true, authentic self. And the presence in this room, we've just been talking about how to live in the presence, how to reap the benefits and the blessings of what the present moment has to offer us, right? And right before we went to our music break, Brother Darren had a question to ask. What was that question, brother?
Yes, and both of you guys can answer this. Me being probably the youngest one here. How do you?
I'm actually only 19, so.
I'm trying to get older, man. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to get to 50.
I'm a young soul in this world.
Being young is overrated. Sometimes I'm telling y'all, listeners, this being young stuff, especially in this crazy generation, is overrated. But I digress. My question, and this is for both of you guys, is going back to the whole seed. Like, why do people not want to be in the present? It's usually for fear. Well, I think the hardest thing for people, including myself, is learning to, one, not act on something they don't like. Acting could be a little action or a feeling. And two, learning to accept things that they don't have any control over, and they choose not to act or do anything on stuff that they control, and they actually have the conscious awareness to recognize it. The hardest thing to do for people, especially my crazy generation and younger, is to do nothing. It's the hardest thing is to do.
Why do you feel like you have to do something? What do you feel like you're missing out on, or what do you feel like won't be provided to you?
Because doing nothing releases control.
Yeah.
People want to be in control, others of themselves, of others, or things.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think doing nothing, I think people may have some kind of misunderstanding with that, because I do things that I feel called to do, and when I don't, right? I don't do things just to feel like I have to do something to say I did something, right? Just sitting there allowing, it's like, okay, yeah, I just feel like chilling right now, so I'm just gonna chill. And then when that idea that excites me or lights up my heart comes to me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I feel like doing this. And I just act upon that, right? And I think people have this sometimes misconception, at least with my own personal journey, is that we're constantly always supposed to be doing, right? And if you just allow yourself to be, I think that's when you get the greatest amount of blessings, because you're not forcing anything. You're just allowing at that point. What do you think?
Yes, and when you get to a point where doing nothing becomes a concern, you ask yourself, what do I do in this world? And be present in the moment for the response. You might get an indication in your body, a sensation. You might actually hear or feel something, a presence. You might have a remembrance. You might want to reflect. You might need to actually shift out of that location to be outside. You might need to walk, right? You might need to just lie down on earth, right? There are infinite options. Hmm? But as soon as you get concerned, ask, what do I need in this
I guess for me and a lot of other people, sometimes what we need, assuming we can even differentiate the difference between a want and a need, but let's just say it's an actual need. Sometimes it's not either possible outright or possible at that moment in time.
You must give yourself permission to ask. You must. To you. That's it. It's up to you.
What do you feel like there's a lack of? Like, what do you feel that you don't have that you don't currently attain?
I mean, a lot. Like, if we're just talking material,
But is that you speaking, or is that the program that society has created for you? Like, do you truly need the things that you think you need? Or is that like, just like, for example,
Mhm.
right? Do you have a house?
Yes, sir.
Do you have food every day?
Yes, sir.
Do you have financial resources to provide for yourself and those around you?
Yes, sir.
So what else do you need? What else do you truly need? That hasn't been programmed into us saying that you need more of it.
I can answer that question.
Okay.
To know that that's going to be the case when I'm your guys' age.
What it's gotten you this far, right?
Right, but the tools that I use may or may not be there. So I can't say the same thing will work. You see what I'm saying? So if the situation changes, that is what creates the anxiety, is knowing that the situation or the circumstances or the tools will be different.
And so will you.
Good point. And where I struggle personally, internally, is trusting myself that I will be okay once those changes happen. That is the struggle of blindness. Ultimately, is I can't even say blindness. That's the struggle of life. Is knowing is not knowing. I actually am blessed to know, but in life you don't know. You never know what the future holds. You never know how things may change. So that's why a lot of people don't like to look into the future, because they don't know. But for me personally, I do know. I do know that the likelihood of me going blind completely is very high. So I'm very blessed, and I'm very proud of myself for what I've accomplished so far in life. I do know that I am extraordinary for that. But that's all with vision. How do I know with confidence that I'll be able to maintain, even just to maintain, not grow, not to get more, just to maintain all of this?
Very good word, maintain. Will you allow me to either have my hand just a little distance from your back and or touch your back? Now I want you to actually sit upright. All the way. That's it. That's it. Very good. Exhale. That's it. That's it. Yes, you do know. Stay in it, and you will always know.
I guess what I'm looking for is trust.
Yeah, in the now.
That's the answer.
That's it. So there was an impulse right here. You do know. You do know. Stay right where you are. So
Thank you. Thank you both. Listeners, like I can't describe the energy that's in this room right now. This is
Pure love.
it's love. It's every positive energy type that you can think of is in this room right now. And for if anyone knows me from my show, and I've explained to people in my show all of the negativity and the trauma that I've had to endure as an adult. Um, I know negativity and trauma very well, more than most humans do, or Americans. I'll say Americans. Um, and I'm always looking for peace and calmness, and I know I'm able to do that for a lot of people that I love and care about. But I've always struggled to do that for myself. So I'm always on the journey to be able to do that for myself. Because I think ultimately that's the most important thing is to be able to do it for yourself. And like I said earlier, once I sense your energy, because I've been around people who are financially made more money in 2 weeks than we've made in our lifetimes, and I've been around therapists with 30 years of experience, and I've been around so many people, but it's very rare. I cannot recall the last time I've sent someone a hearing. So
Do you ever wonder why some of these people that you would say have all this money still commit suicide and aren't happy? Because the happy wasn't the core of who they wasn't happy. So the happiness wasn't going to come once they got those financial resources.
correct.
They have to find that within themselves.
Right. And that's what's funny. I'm not worried about the finances because that's what I'm an expert at.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I coach. But I'm still very much a student in the mental because that actually is a stressor. I know in 5-10 years I'm going to be financially on a whole nother level. But if I have the same mental and spiritual level that I do now, that's a concern to me. Because Kat, you're absolutely right. Because I know
Mm-hmm.
I have my phone where these people are more unhappy and stressed out, and they have 8 figures in their accounts
Yeah.
than we are. Like I don't know. I can almost guarantee these people ain't in a room like this.
Yeah.
They cannot because they're not in the present. They have to constantly move around. That's the nature. Um, so that's why I appreciate this so much. Because it's unique
Mm-hmm.
in this fast-paced society that we're in. You're right, Kat. We're programmed to constantly be doing something. And I can tell you why we're programmed that way because we're rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
We are rewarded, and we're rewarding our youth for doing that. To never sit down, to never just read a book,
Yeah.
to never just spend quality time and do one thing with your family. We are programming everybody, not just you, but really everybody, to constantly be doing things, and we're rewarding them. And our brains are not. I don't think we're supposed to be doing that. Like, it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Because you build up anxiety, you build up unrealistic expectations, um, and most importantly, you don't teach people that it's okay to not be that way.
Mm-hmm.
You're teaching people it's not okay to just be relaxed, to be yourself, to accept yourself, to make sure that you're not the most popular with the most followers. You're training people it's okay to not be the richest. You're training people to say you can be totally you have to be rich so you can be happy. But most rich people aren't happy.
Exactly.
So key word you use is training.
Mm-hmm.
What did your training look like?
My training, I will say a lot of it is the same training that a lot of other people see, which is social media, which is society, which is you know, we need to make a certain amount of money to be able to survive. Um, so that means, if I want to make a certain amount of money, I have to do a certain amount of professions. You know, my history was I used to be in social services. I used to work in a group home in Oakland for adolescent youth. I loved that job. Paid $13.20. The next job I got paid $3 more, and I worked 1 hour out of 8, and I was on the computer doing nothing else. That's programming. That's training. That, or we call that in business incentivizing. But if money wasn't an issue, I'd be right back at the group home. I'd be right back in social service. I'd be right back in therapy.
And that's where you're supposed to be.
To change your perspective. So a moment ago, you allowed me to bring my hand behind the back,
Mhm.
and then actually place my hand on the back. Correct?
Mhm.
And then your body adjusted. Correct?
Mhm.
Now make that adjustment again. That's your practice. Is to stay aligned, and it'll all come to you. Everything you stay.
Listeners, if you're listening, I pay $400 a month for therapy. It's not as good as this. Seriously.
So we're getting close to the end of the show, Kyosa, and your presence has been amazing, not only for us in the studio, but for our viewers out there listening, getting the message that they needed today, right? I think we said that prior to getting on air, is the divine conversation has already been had. We're just living in the present moment, being able to express it to those that need to hear it. So if you could leave our viewers with something today, um, just share last words of motivation, what would that be?
Exhale. And begin again. Allow the breath to go deeper and deeper. We know to inhale, so we remind ourselves to expel energy and exhale. It's calming everything within and exhale. And you may find yourself in a position where you're curled up on the couch, on the floor, outside in the grass, with a friend, with a lover, with family, with yourself, wherever you be. Just exhale. And keep exhaling. And stay there as long as you need to. Because you can. There is nothing to run away from, nothing to get to. Just be. You're welcome.
Thank you. So, for our viewers that are out there that want to be able to get in contact with you, do you have a social media platform, website, or anything that they can reach out to you on?
I love to connect via email.
Okay.
First, love is my full name at gmail.com. There's no confusion in that. It's just as it sounds. Love is my full name at gmail.com.
Ooh, come on. Ooh.
And I'll take you further.
That's what I'm talking about. Do you have any events or anything that you're going to be at where people, if they want to meet you in person?
What I would love is for anyone who would love to get to know Kyosa's way. is to email me first, and I'll take you through the next step.
Okay.
That's part of training.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
One step at a time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Man, Kyosa, we definitely have to get you in here for a part 2 because we didn't even have Kenya in here. And that, man, when we have Kenya in here, woo, conversation even gets deeper, just like the breath.
Yes.
So thank you once again, Kyosa, for taking time out of your busy schedule and hanging out with us at the Anything Could Happen show. So, as y'all know, you're listening to KGPC 96.9 FM Oakland and streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. Yeah, you already know. Like, subscribe, share. Make sure that if you got something from this message today, please share it with a friend, family, whoever it speaks to you at the end of the day. Make sure you tune in every week live on our Instagram at ach.show, where you can actually chat not only with us, but with our guests each and every week. You can check us out on our YouTube channel, Heal the Hood, y'all. Peace.
Beautiful.
This might be my favorite episode, Cap.
Hands down, huh?
Oh man,
That's what we needed today. That's what the divine had in store for us today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a therapy session.
and
Mm-hmm.
I don't get effective therapy like that, like ever. I thought I had a good therapist. She is good, but
There was a different level that needed to be tapped into today.
absolutely.
Yeah. The collective consciousness.
Yeah.
So, two things that we do at the end of the show. One is a drop for our episode. So, just giving your name, you're just talking to the mind and say, hey, this is Kyosa.
Okay.
You're listening to the Anything Can Happen show.
I love that.
Yeah. And today we are talking about living in the presence, or however you want to put a twist on it. So, just your name. Today you're tuned in to the Anything Can Happen show. And we are talking about, okay.
All right.
So, Miss Felicia, give us the cue when it's ready to record. Give me 1 second, actually. Anything can happen. So.
This is Kyosa. You are tapping into the Anything Can Happen show. Oh my, oh my. And yes, it can. Be present, be in that power, and let it be real, because it is just that. And so it is.
I say. Boom, done. See? I love it.
Yay.
And we just get a picture so we can post it on.
Okay,
page and
right
everything.
on.
Yeah.
So where we
Right
taking
on.
it? Are we inside, outside? What we doing?
You want outside? Let's get it. I thought you was gonna say outside.
Yay.
Let's do it.
Right on.
All right. Peace, y'all.